Hi, my name is Sheran.
Hi, my name is Ben.
And this is the Creative Odyssey Podcast.
We're here to talk about the creative process.
The good,
the bad,
and the ugly.
But more importantly,
we're here to create together.
Whether you're a creator, a dreamer,
or just curious about the creative process,
explore with us
as we figure out what it means to be a creative
and build a community
that celebrates the creative journey. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Creative Odyssey Podcast, everybody. Today, we have two wonderful guests. We have Mason, who is an author, and we have Sue, who is an actress, right?
Yep.
So excited about it.
Hello. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Also, we have a set change.
Where are we? How do we get here?
We got sponsored in our heads.
Right, yeah, right. Sponsored by church. I always like to kind of figure out where you guys started. So think back before you were an author, before you were an actress, kind of what kind of started you on your creative journey? Like there's usually something that would be like, oh, I remember that point in my life. That was definitely my creative spark, and that's where I started. So.
All right, I'll go first. Okay,
Mason.
so as you said, I'm an author. I've got 2 novels published on Amazon. But really it started for me in college. I was an English major, studying to be an English teacher. And I had a creative writing workshop. You just had to write a short story for the class. And that was the first time I ever saw the story in my head. I'd read for decades at that point, but I didn't see it. Time just disappeared. I saw the story. It was about superheroes breaking into Fort Knox. To this day, I don't know why they were breaking into Fort Knox.
That's awesome.
But my class liked it. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And yeah, it was the first time I had that creative spark.
So that just kind of the whole story just showed up in your head pretty much.
Yeah, I just started typing. I knew 2 details. They were breaking into Fort Knox. There was going to be a twist at the end, like the bad guy. And the main guy could disintegrate solids. That was it.
That's awesome.
That was it. It's just if you've got a guy that's bulletproof and can walk through walls, he's the guy you want to rob a bank.
That's right.
Wow, I like that.
That's amazing.
What were the names of your novels?
So the first one is Variants, Variants,
which I listened to half.
Thank you for clarifying.
Really
I would have said CE instead
that
of
one
variant.
has, I did the audiobook for that one as well, all the voices. And then very recently, as of last week, I published the sequel, Heroes, which picks up 6 months after the first novel.
So we gotta edit this podcast really quick. This book is out.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the timing. Recently, it's very recent.
Right, that's awesome. How about you?
So
Sue?
exciting.
So, first of all, thank you. That's so exciting. I'm happy to be here sharing all of this with you. Originally from Colombia, and I feel like we Colombians are very artistic, and our culture is very, I think we have an artistry in ourselves that we don't know we have it, but it's there because of how we grow up and what we see. So my parents, both of them, they are artists. My mom always liked to paint, and my dad, he was a dancer. He was a ballet dancer.
Oh, cool.
He used to do cumbia, which is one of the rhythms more popular in my country. And I always had that, that side of art. And early in my life, I knew that I wanted to be an artist, no matter what it was. I didn't know at that point what, but I enjoy dancing. I enjoy writing. I remember the first thing I ever wrote was, "I love you, mommy." I remember that was the first thing. I was conscious, and I have the memory of how I wrote it. It was like a red crayon, and I was like, I love this. How can I express myself with words?
That's
awesome.
awesome.
So I think that was
so
the
cool.
first time that I was conscious that I don't know if it was art and love combined, but it was beautiful.
How old were you?
I think probably 5 or 6.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So follow-up question. So you mentioned something about your culture and how artistic stuff is kind of built in. Can you explain to me what you meant by that?
Yeah, so especially the city, but I think the whole country, now that I'm aware of other things, each region of my country have different types of like music, art. And where I grew up, it was very, we have a carnival, like a carnival.
What area, by the way? Just say the name.
Barranquilla.
Oh, Barranquilla.
Yes.
Okay.
And everybody is doing something, either is painting or designing a costume or creating music or exploring, just like the kids. We are listening to music because everybody has a radio and it's so loud. So even if you didn't want, you have that in the background of your head. So where I grew up, it was very loud. The street is loud, the people that sell in the street. And I think that's, now that I'm an artist, that's very artistic. My country is very, like, I see scenes all the time. In this corner, I see this guy fighting because, oh, I want you to sell me an avocado and you're paying too much. And I'm like, that's a scene. I want to create this. I want to write it. And I want to, like, tell the story of this guy, why he doesn't want to pay or why the other guy doesn't want to give it for cheaper, because we negotiate a lot. So, yeah.
That's cool. You see scenes everywhere you look.
Yeah, for real. I want you guys to come and see every corner. It has something special.
It sounds so vibrant.
Yes, that's the perfect word.
So
vibrant.
Cool. Yeah.
And
I think I've seen a couple things on social and stuff. It's just like, wow, that's crazy.
yeah, that's one of the reasons I wanted to become an artist, because our culture, people don't know what we are. And I would like to tell the world the other things, not just what they see in the media.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
That's amazing.
So then, would you say you got into creativity out of curiosity or because the culture was like around you?
I think it was because of love. Yeah, because of my parents always support my dreams. And you want to dance? Let's go. You want to ride? Let's go. And it was like a need. It was in me. It was like a love. And this way of love needed to convert, evolve in something
That's
bigger.
huge, though, to have such supportive parents who are like, whatever you want to do. Like, I feel like that's true love, like letting them do what they want to do. It's so cool.
Yep.
That's very cool.
I love you, mommy.
Would you think that if you didn't become an actress, what would you do?
Oh, a dance? I mean, I dance, so I...
How about this? Like, if your parents weren't supportive at all for any creative endeavor, what would you become?
God forbid.
I think it's in me.
Okay. Now
But
we're getting somewhere.
Maybe a painter, something that you can do on the side. I don't know.
No creativity.
What about you, Mason? If you weren't an
So-
author, what do you think?
Well, I mean, my current job is a teacher. Like, that's how I pay the bills. And because of my teaching, that's really what's propelled me to become an author. Like to pursue this full speed, get up at 5 a.m. to get the writing in. But if I wasn't doing this, I don't know, I'd probably maybe work in business in some capacity, just in some kind of creative writing.
Okay.
Because I worked in marketing for a year, and I couldn't write business articles and fun stuff at the same time, like too much on my brain. So it would be if I wasn't allowed to write the books, I would go do that just to use those muscles.
So it would be words. You would be writing words regardless. It wouldn't be like, hey, I'm a sculptor or something like that.
Well, actually, maybe the sound stuff. If I
sound stuff?
find somebody, I kind of like that. But otherwise, yes, no sculpting. Keep me away.
Very narrowed in on that writing. That's cool. That's cool. I love the difference of how she's like several and he's like very focused.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's interesting because like you both are immersed into the art of storytelling. Like I'm super curious, like how did you end up in this route? I know you said like you seem like very straightforward. Like went to a creative class and I learned it and I realized the possibilities and I did it. For you, the storytelling, like what fuels you?
When I finished the high school, I didn't want to tell my family that I wanted to become an actress, but I knew it.
Okay.
And my mom, she knew it even better than me. I'm sorry if I talk about my parents too much, but they're like the key.
Yeah, for sure.
That made me decide. So it is very important because we have a world full of kids and we need to be supportive of their dreams. That's the key of a better world.
Yeah.
So I always appreciate that. And when I was in high school, I was scared because some people around me were like, no, you're not going to pay bills with that. Why are you going to go to college? Why don't you do it on the side? And I was like, but I don't want to. If I need to die poor, I want to die poor. And that's something that I remember when I was like 15. I was like, I don't mind. I'd rather die poor and be happy and create something that is going to make me like bigger inside, like my heart. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
No, I totally understand that.
And my mom was like, well, you can go for journalism. And my best friend was going to college for that. So I was like, okay, yeah, I can do it. But she asked me, do you really want that? And I was like, no, I think I want to go for arts. I don't know what kind, but she was like, I know you like acting. You don't have to hide it.
Wow.
I'm going to take you to the dramatic arts school.
Okay.
And you're going to go there. And it was like, okay, I'm ready. I need this. And also was an important part of my life because I was in a bad relationship and I was looking for escape for that. I needed to escape from that situation, but I was so young that I didn't know how to handle that. And acting, it's been like my savior and my hero since then.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So now we want to kind of like talk about this connection between author and an actor. Like you're in the job of kind of building them and you're in the job of like now being that character. So when you're doing these building characters, do you feel like you're playing them in your head? And then when you're discovering the fact, when you're stepping into a role, do you feel like you're discovering or you're building up the character? So since you're starting, why don't you?
Sure. So that's interesting. Do I start with the character? Do I outline them or do I discovery write them? Is that what you're asking?
Well,
or
so do you like first play them in your head?
Okay.
Like where does the character come from? I guess the process of you building a character.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, that works.
And then you come in after that.
So part of that is just wanting to see when I have the main character, and for me the story is how is this character going to change? What are they going to go through? How are they going to end up different on the other side? I prefer more character-driven stories. And so the main character, that's that. And then the peripheral characters, I want them to have their own motivations, their own desires too. But I kind of allow it to be on the periphery as compared to the main character. And just when making characters in general, I want to know what do they want? How can I stop them from getting that? Because it's fun to be a mean person. And the whole point of story is just putting blocks in between what they need or what they want.
But so.
And,
Right.
yeah, yes and or yes, no, but or
Yeah.
So sometimes they just appear organically. It's like my comedic relief character. It's literally just the random thoughts I have. I just have him say it. I have him make fun of my own writing because he can wink at the fourth wall.
Oh, that's great.
That's cool.
Yes, I love that.
And then my villain is like I want to make him sympathetic. I want to make it like every time he's on the page or on the screen of your mind, it's like, what is this guy gonna do? Like that for me is the most fun. But I guess coming back to your original question, it's how do I create characters? It's looking at what are the archetypes I want to explore. So like in this new book I'm working on, that's a epic fantasy series. We've got 3 viewpoint characters. One is a washed up guy who had success but then fell hard. Another one is a young girl trying to prove herself.
Oh, wow.
And then the third one is the guy who replaced the first one on his own mission. Like he's now the top guy, but he's got his own problem to solve. And so trying to navigate, okay, what are the different struggles these characters are going to have, and then how can I weave them together? What are going to be the people that show up to connect the dots?
These characters that you start with, where like do you have some type of influence from other shows that you've watched? Like tell me a little bit about that.
Sometimes it's just so like back to this one I'm working on. If you've heard of the Hunger Games, the mentor figure who's an alcoholic and doesn't really want to be there, that's kind of the inspiration for this one.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
In my first 2 novels, John, the main character, especially the first book, he was just me. He was a younger version of me, mistakes and all. But then from there, it's like the villain of that story was part Magneto from the X-Men, part Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Nice.
So I do take outside sources, but then I'm like, okay, it might be a little bit derivative. How can I make this more my own? And how can I separate it from another piece of work? So like you can see, oh yeah, I see how that character's connected. Like I see where you took inspiration, but still this is a distinct voice.
That's really cool.
So, random thought. In this process of writing, is this the most exciting part? Because it seems like you're playing evil genius.
Yeah, oh yeah. So it's fun. It's fun when it works. When you're doing the process, it's like, how do I write a character that's smarter than me? How do I communicate this to the reader? And how do I make it fun? Like that's the three bullet points that make it difficult.
Yeah.
But the good news is when in just the outlining process, it's like, well, all ideas are on the table. There's nothing that's too dumb. And we're basically just pouring stuff into the pot so that when it comes time to make the stew, the writing, it's like, oh, yeah, that's what's the end result.
I'm curious about this concept of storytelling, so I'm going to keep drilling you if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I'm going to come to you too. I think it's super
Please.
unique.
I like the
I'm
drill.
enjoying
I like
it
the
because
drill
it
downs.
relates with my journey. I'm like, this is like very connected to what we do. We can work together.
Yeah, because I do like the concept of like, what kind of change is the main character going to go through? Because if there is no change, it's a completely boring story.
There are some stories, I haven't written any yet, but like iconic characters. So like Sherlock Holmes, you don't pick up a Sherlock Holmes novel expecting him to change, but who that character is, you get to see the change through everybody else, which is another thing. Like eventually I want to push myself like with short stories to explore that. But right now for me, it's like, I like watching characters change. I like seeing who they were, what on earth happened to them to get them there.
Wow. That's really fascinating, Mason. I like that.
As an actress, I like that too. Yeah. To see them grow and change. Yeah.
Do you find yourself doing that? Like when you start with a character, does it like slowly build and grow into something else that you didn't really
That's the
see
goal.
It coming? Yeah.
That's what I want to. And for my creative process, I feel like each character is different and it shows to me in a different way. I used to think that you are going to convert into this, but it's kind of like a meeting point where you both connect. And I think that's the best way to approach, but this is my opinion or what works for me. Just not judging what you're reading, because sometimes you're not what you're reading and you're like, I'm very different, but I promise you can connect with anybody in this world. And it's, for me, it's not about judging, but about understanding and really taking the script and feeling that you can help this character, like help communicate and express what they need to say to go to, like, around this world.
That's interesting that you say help this character. It's just fascinating to me that somebody who's playing a character, it's really like that's how you think in your mind. You're like, this is a living, breathing thing in my head that I have to suddenly like channel.
Yes,
right?
it's a channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
You're
like,
just helping them.
Yeah.
Because when you read the script, what are the first thoughts that goes in your mind, and then what have you learned to like kind of go along with? Because you said like you don't want to judge. I mean, like as human beings, how do you not judge the character?
Well, because like I said, everything that I play throughout the years, it's so different, each character. Some are similar in some ways, but some things are like, oh, I would never drink, for example. I don't drink. And I play characters that they are like alcoholics and it's about not judging, because if you're gonna like judge them, it's not gonna come out like from
it's not gonna be
reality, from
authentic.
truth.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna be truthful. So you need to start just understanding, like you're talking with a friend in my process, but each actor is so different, because I learned that throughout the years too, that everybody approached their creativity and their characters differently. And I respect that. But for me, now it's, I don't judge. I just want to read and help them express themselves.
Really cool.
Building off that, like when writing a character, every character is the hero of their own story. So like I wrote my first two novels are first person point of view. The camera is that character, but everybody else, they're their own camera. And so they've each got their different wants and needs. And even the villains, it's like in their mind, they're doing the right thing or they've got the right reasons for doing something bad.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I don't know if I've never put it as don't judge, but be able to understand. Like that for me is equally important. Empathy to the most part. Like you don't have to approve of somebody who blew up a bank, but
Right.
But if you look
No,
at the
you
story,
can-
you're
but
like,
if you
I
know
get it.
why he's doing it, it's
You
like
can try to
okay.
understand their thought process and their mind and why they got to why they wanted to blow up a bank.
Yeah.
That's always that I always tell people about acting. That everybody should take a class at least one time in their lives, because you, in my opinion, you become more empathetic. It just puts your feet in the earth, like you touch the ground,
Yeah, you're
because
grounded
you
more,
need to be aware that everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
So when you understand that, it makes you, I feel, a better human being too.
Yeah.
You give benefit of the doubt. Like there must be a reason.
There must be a reason.
Right.
Yeah. And I've
Yeah,
never
have some grace for that
Right.
person.
Yeah, exactly. I've never connected acting to being empathetic. That's a
yeah.
really cool concept.
That's something that changed for me, because when I was in college, I had a different idea of acting, and I saw it just in a different perspective. It was a different perspective of acting, and it wasn't that deep. I feel that compare with what I feel now, I feel more empathetic because of acting, because you have to go through so many different characters, and everybody's so different, and like you said, everybody has different reason, and it's not right or wrong. Those are choices.
So this is kind of tied into like you stepping into a role and you creating. What's harder, making a fictional person or a character feel real, or finding the real person in a role? And so that's kind of fit into like how you plan for a role and what that process looked like, and vice versa. So you can start with the fictional.
Yeah. So making them realistic, that is the motivations I don't think are too difficult, because everybody does want something in it. If you can boil it down to the basic, then you can adjust the situation. But making them sound realistic, that's the hard part, because especially when doing my audiobook, I realized, wow, my writing needs work. And there were a lot of lines that it's like, this character sounds the exact same as this one. And like in the first book, there's two female characters that are so almost interchangeable. And it wasn't meant to be. Like there's one that has a little bit more personality than the other one. But that was something I noticed especially. It's like, yeah, these people are kind of cardboard cutouts. So that's where it gets kind of tough. And giving each character, again, their own voice. When it's just in my head, it all sounds perfect. But then when it's on page, you're actually reading it. It's like, why does Mike sound like this? I don't know.
I want to ask a question about that. So you said while you're reading, or while you're reading your audiobook and recording it, have you ever stopped and be like, hold on, I got to change this?
Oh, so
Or do you release the book first and then?
So I did. So both times I released Variants back in 2022, December 22. I was just ready to do it. And there were so many typos. It was so, like, I learned a lot more from that mistake than I did from the success of selling a few books. Because like the first one, there were 2 chapter 20s. And I didn't realize this at the time. It's like, oh no, that's embarrassing, because once it's on the page, it's done. But then once I started recording the audiobook, I'd notice either typos or repeated words. That was the big one. It's like I repeat words all the time in lines that if you're reading a book, like that's you get off the shelf, you're most of the time not the editor's going to catch that. I didn't have an editor, so it was up to me to kind of like it helped my writing ability overall. But yeah, when I would go through and just change it in this recording booth, get it there, because the book's already out there. It's like at this point, and then I could change the manuscript because of publishing through Amazon. I can just re-upload the manuscript with minor changes. You don't need to get a new ISBN.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So there's built-in flexibility.
Yeah.
With the new book, I wanted to record the audiobook first and then publish it. So it's like, oh, I'll get that extra revision. But just because of timing and teaching it in my class, it was like, we're at the 4th quarter. I just got to put it out there.
Yeah. I like that little behind the scenes of how that voicing goes and stuff.
Yeah.
So then to you, like the uh, is it harder to make a fictional person feel real and talk about the how you prepare for a role and what that process looks like?
I think what is hard in the acting or the character, discovering the character process, it's probably when you can see yourself in that. That's very hard when you're not being real. For example, let's say one of the lines says, I don't want to be here. And you don't feel like you would say that. You would say, oh, I'm tired. You know, a different way to say it. So for me, that's hard when I read something and I'm like, I wouldn't say that. Why they said that. And understanding that, it's so important for me to make it like, okay, I own this. I own these words, and I'm just helping this character find its way. So that is very hard. But once you connect, that's why I like to read the scripts one time and then in a different day, and then when I'm cooking. So different scenarios, because every time I read a script, it will connect me, or it will show me different things or different ways to approach the character.
Wow. Okay. Sounds so complicated.
It does sound complicated. This is opening my eyes to like both of these ways of creativity about what you do in the background. Is really cool.
I'm still processing the process of storytelling, but we gotta keep going.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I was just gonna follow up with that. So we talked about switching positions or something like that. You had to do that for a day.
Yeah. So if you had to switch jobs,
what part would you struggle with?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely being on camera. As far as just like the acting, I think that would be so much fun to get to be a character, just to explore, to unpack, to understand why is this character doing what it is, and to come up with a funny voice or fun voice to do it. And that would be a lot of fun. But being on camera, it's not as fun. I prefer just being behind the scenes. That's
There's
why I do sound.
eye always watching.
Yes.
Catching everything.
Yes.
For me, I love writing too. And I'm in the process of writing my own scripts because I want to create.
Okay.
Yeah. I love that. That's why I was paying attention to every word you said
Yeah,
because it's
me
so
too.
interesting. Because I like that part of we're super connected, and I feel like the artist in me likes everything about the creative process of like reading lines and acting. So that process, it's very important for all of the actors. And for me, I feel like the struggle will be probably making sure that that's what I want to say, because I used to overthink. Now I'm better about it, but if I write something, I'm like, I don't like this. And then I'm reading it, I like it. And then I read it again and I don't like it. So that will be hard to really feel, okay, this is what I want to say and this is what I want them to say.
So, what inspires you creatively, both of you, and to more than inspiration, like to tell a story? When do you say like, "Ooh, I want to write a story about this. I want to do something about it"?
So, I try to like always be open to ideas. There are times like I have a notes app on my phone. I recommend everyone should have a notes app on their phone. But like, just get a random idea. It's like, oh, what if? Like there was the most recent one that it's a really stupid idea, but like a guy being haunted by squirrels. And that's because I was sitting at my computer and I heard this weird rasping noise in my wall. Turns out I think it's a leak from upstairs, but I don't live up there. And so I'm like, yeah, that would be, what if there were squirrels in the walls, but they were like, not just like they're watching you. Like it kept getting like, oh, there's something here. And so as far as just, like when an idea comes, it's be willing to just flow with it. And if it gets like I started writing it and I kind of lost the spark. It's like because I start thinking about how it's working. Okay, what's motivating the squirrels? And it's like
it's a squirrel.
It's a squirrel. It's a squirrel. It's like there's only so many places you can take it. So
that's kind of funny though.
How about you?
The question is like, how do I?
What inspires you,
inspires
and what
me?
inspires you to write a story, especially now that you write? That's cool, by the way.
Yeah, so I think life in general, I put myself out there. I don't like to be inside of the house. If I am inside of the house for more than one day, I start feeling like anxious. And I like connecting with people, networking, talking to other creative is very important because you get perspective and stories and you hear their lives and it's so interesting. We like humans, we're so deep and full of different emotions, and that's what I like about acting, about storytelling, how we can tell, like how can I make your life a TV show?
Right.
Because we all deserve a TV show. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So just listening and paying attention to life and writing, even if you regret what you write, it's good to be like take action, like I told you earlier. Just take action and start writing or put yourself in front of the camera and say what you're feeling and you're like, what was the best thing of your day? What was the worst thing? What would you change if you could? Things like that. It just keeps you.
So you just ask a ton of questions when you see life, and you're constantly
Oh
asking
yeah,
questions.
yeah. My friends sometimes they are annoyed, like, why you ask so much?
You want to empathize. It sounds like you really do want to get to know at the levels of different people because you could possibly play them in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very interesting way.
And I took an acting class like a year ago, and one of our teachers they said that. They said you should put yourself out there and ask questions and connect with people. And I was like, oh, I do that, so I'm in the right path.
Yeah.
Because it's good when you connect and you get to go deep in your, emotions and your life and your background, why you're here, why you guys are doing this.
Yeah.
One other thing, just before you jump in, the other inspiration, I want to write the stories that I wanted to read. So like my book is the kind of book that high school me would have wanted to read.
Oh.
There are not a lot of books for young men, just in general. You go to Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Walmart, Target. It's like it's a predominant, because it's more of a female-led activity. Like women readers buy more books. That's just a market fact. And so I just wanted to put something out there. Let's say, you know what? I want something fun. And that would be the other inspiration I have. Is like the kind of stories that I want to read.
I feel like a lot of creatives are like that. Like whether it's music,
Yeah.
art, or like you, it's like, it's not quite what I want. I want to make something that I would like to consume in some sort. That's really cool.
Yeah, even Jacob Colley is like, make the music you want to hear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then problem solved.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We can move on to the next section here. I was thinking, you touched on a little bit about kind of struggling to understand characters and stuff. So if you were, or I'm sorry, what is the creative challenge? Sorry, let me back up here.
What's a creative?
There it is. Every artist faces a breaking point. And we're trying to understand what the creative challenge is that almost made you stop. So maybe it didn't happen, but I feel like there are some things that we've gone through in the process of creativity where you just kind of like, that's it, I'm done.
Wow. Ooh, I have a lot.
By the way, how long have you guys been doing this? Let's say that, and then you can answer that question.
So I started acting when I was, professionally 16,
Oh wow.
and I'm 29. So
Oh wait, I did hear you with the 30
I don't know, 14 years, 15 years.
Okay.
I don't know. I started when I was 16, and I didn't stop until now. I've been doing this, but I had a breaking point when I had my child. And when I moved to this country too. So those two are the biggest, but in between sometimes you have breaking points because also in my journey I didn't have another source of income. When I was living in Colombia, I just did acting. When I moved to the States, I had to do other things. And that was a breaking point because I was like, am I going to be able to come back? I don't speak the language. Am I going to be able to learn the language? Am I going to be able to learn a script in English? I still struggle, but I enjoy it. I enjoy the process. And at that moment, I wasn't enjoying it. I was like, maybe this is not for me. But yeah. I think those two moments,
makes
motherhood
sense.
change you 100%.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I imagine.
So then,
And-
in your storyline, that's like your struggle, and like you're on the overcoming part now.
Yeah, because I used to be an actress, and then
Yeah.
I was an actress and a wife, and then an actress, wife, and a mother. And then I was a struggling actress that couldn't act because I had a child that needed me so
Wow,
much. So
man.
that it takes over your life,
Yeah.
and you know, other people telling you, oh, don't do it, you're not gonna be able, you have to take care of your child. But also, if you're not happy, how can you make them happy? And you need to go for it.
Yeah, your story's way more interesting than mine.
No.
Yeah, no, it is. I wrote the first draft of Variants back in spring 2019 question mark or 2018. I think it was 2018. And then I published the first book in 2022. And then I published the most recent one 2025. And I'm 27. So the math is like 7 years is about the
Okay.
time. Now,
Okay.
when I was writing Variants, that took me like 5 years versus Heroes, which took me 2.5.
Right.
And part of that was when trying to become a novelist, the publishing industry's kind of guarded. And I knew a little bit, but not a ton. And like one thing I was told in college is you've got to write letters to agents to represent you, and they kind of get you in the door to the publishers.
Mm.
And I kept getting stonewalled over and
Oh.
over. Like I think I have 17-ish rejection letters. And they just come at the most random times. Like I'd be teaching
that's
class.
the hardest
I'd-
thing.
I'd
Oh
be teaching
my.
class. I get a buzz like, oh, there's another one, and just move on. And my students be like, you just got rejected. I'm like, yeah, it happens a lot. And
Oh my
in fairness,
Moment
like
of silence for the teacher.
I recognize that my writing ability just wasn't there. Like there's some professionals that say you need to write 6 novels before you're ready to actually be published.
Wow.
And based on Variants, I kind of agree. I'm proud of it. The story, the writing itself, you can tell I was 22. And so like the moment when I almost gave up was just that grueling part, like 2021, 2021, a little bit into 22. I was in my first year of teaching, and I was just like, I don't care about this at all. But then I was also like, you know what? Let's just put it out there, see what happens. That way I can say I can hold my book in my hands,
Yeah.
and mistakes and all.
Yeah.
And then once I got my students to read it, because it's a little bit self-serving, and they were excited. You got to get high schoolers motivated
Yeah.
somehow. That's really been the drive to, okay, I'm going to pursue this as if it's real, as if it's my job.
So those 17 rejection letters were just like, nah, it's cool.
Basically, the plan is now, it stung a little bit, but really it was just getting ghosted. And also at the time I was trying to date. That was way more painful than trying to.
Always is.
Then like writing, it's like, okay, I can sort of see that. At least they're nice, and the agent letters.
Oh,
We regret to inform you it's not you, it's me.
Yes.
but
Yes.
see, your life is so interesting.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's your line right there, your story arc right
You
there.
just need to dig.
Yeah.
Go
There you go.
deeper. There is
Same-
always something.
Yeah.
So then, I'm guessing this is an obvious one, but was there a moment where you almost gave up? Like your entire thing, like, or you were like, nah, I'm still gonna keep it going.
So I did give up when I was in high school. It's my senior year of high school. I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. That was my dream.
Oh.
And then I discovered I suck at writing comedy bits.
Really?
And like I would write a bit, I'd be super proud. I'd send it to my dad, and he would shotgun it and just disembowel it. And I'd be like, okay, I don't want to do this. But then I wrote the short story that I already told you guys that story. I was like, oh, this is way more fun. Like I'm actually, there might be some talent there. That's a little bit more enjoyable. But like the stand-up comedian side, yeah, I'm happy if I don't do that as a career.
What was it that made you go into comedy in the first place or start venturing down
Oh,
that
I
path?
just loved listening to them. So like Robin Williams was my
Yeah,
hero.
me
He's where I learned how to do a
Love
lot of
that
my
man.
voices. Richard Jenny was another one. Ironically, both of them sadly took their lives, so I was not like confident about this. But then I got to meet my hero,
Are
Christopher
you
Titus.
sure you want to do this?
Yeah, I was like, ooh, that's there's a pattern there. But Christopher Titus was my my hero. I got to meet him my senior year. I saw one of his shows live.
That's great.
And he was the one who just said rewrite.
Oh wow, okay.
So
That's
very
like one dream I want to do one day, but before I die.
You will.
Comedy.
Stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's like Like,
I've done preaching, and like that's almost a step in the door. It's like if you can get
Okay.
the student body to laugh, that's something.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, preaching was when I realized, okay, I can control an audience.
Yeah.
I can,
Yeah.
like so. Yeah, for the longest time I was worried about my accent, and that's why I never like pursued. But now,
no.
as I uncover creativity, you never know, dude. I might be in Comedy Central.
Please.
Okay, one serious question. Reflect on a deep personal struggle and how you overcame relating to creative endeavors.
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because creative people process things differently,
Mhm.
right? So some people you go to creativity. For recently, I'll just give an example. Recently, I met a guy who's a woodworker who has about 7 years to live because he's in early stages of heart failure. When he found that out, he turns wood and makes like flasks and vases and stuff out of wood. He said after the hospital, after multiple heart attacks, he went home and he turned wood for like 4 days to try to like make sense of this what just happened. He's 50 something years old, so he's not even like lived that long. But he said after that 4 days of just constant like wood turning, he was able to come to terms with it and then look forward to the next 7 years of his life. That's a very dramatic,
Yeah,
but
but
very
it-
very real example.
It sounds like how have you used creativity as therapy
Yes,
in
yeah.
some
Okay.
fashion? Because I
Thank
feel like
you.
we've
Yeah,
all
that's
done
more-
that.
Yeah.
Like I know if I'm like really down, I know if I just play the piano or make a song or something like that, it just automatically starts soothing me in
Yeah.
whatever capacity.
Yes.
So what do you think would be? Do you just write like when you're like this? I just can't get through this day to day. I'm just gonna start writing something.
So it's tough because like when I'm trying to see the movie and I've got a lot like big stressor in my mind, then it's not going to work. That's like the one time I would say writer's block wins when I'm focused on like a problem at work that's so deep that or so big that writing is like 100% focus. That's why I do it first thing in the morning. I do my Bible time and then I go write. Nothing else is on my mind. However, the ability of being able to put my thoughts on paper and just free flow, just let it pour out, which is what I have to do. When I'm writing, I put on headphones so that I can drown out the world, and then I just let my fingers play the movie in my head. That ability has translated into being able to journal and process my feelings or other issues and try to come up with solutions. One definition I heard of creativity, and I'd be curious to hear what your definition is, but it's problem solving with novelty. So problem solving is like obviously solving a problem, but novelty is making it new. That's what everybody thinks. Oh, I'm not creative. I'm not. It's the novelty, the newness part. And so like little kids are super novel. They're not very good at practicality for problem solving, but more adults, like workforce adults, are really good at practicality, not so good at novelty. And so for me, it's like, okay, how can I, and there's one point where your ideas get dumb. Like, what about a stick of dynamite? And it's like, or squirrels in the wall. And it's like, at that point, it's like you're laughing and it's much easier to run with
Right.
it and then look at it more analytical
Yeah.
situation. But do you have a definition for creativity?
I think I'm creating it throughout my days because every day it looks different for me, and creativity presents itself in different ways, or something that inspires me can be my kid, or I watch a movie last night and it makes me think, oh, I want to play a character like that in the future. I dream about playing a role like this, or being in this kind of show, or in the theater, or I would like to sing like that. I would like to explore or other areas. So I don't think I have something that it means for me. Creativity will be maybe commitment. Just that word for me means commit to what I believe that can help me help others.
Like showing
Yeah.
up, the routine.
Yeah,
right?
because like I told you guys earlier, for me, art and acting and dancing, it saved my life in a couple of times. And always when I feel down, or when I feel that I'm going through something hard or something that I don't know if I'm capable of, arts are always there for us, for humans, to reach out and watch something, listen to music, try to play, try to learn a new skill. And it's something that really help you grow. If that
Yeah,
makes
I
sense,
agree with
yeah.
that. It sounds like your definition of creativity almost is like feeling the world around you in some fashion of emotion or something like that. Like the inspirations, you're like, oh, that makes me feel this way, so I'm going to interpret it this
Yeah, and
way.
I can use that different depending what I'm going through in life.
Yeah, very cool.
So one of the things about creativity you mentioned was you ask a ton of questions, and I think technically you do the same. And I think a lot of creatives like myself, like I think the biggest amount of maturity I've had in my life in the last couple of years because I started questioning everything about myself and what I'm around and what I believe in, all that kinds of stuff. So, number one, do you think that all people are creative? Right? I think many people will have different answers. And then two, should all people try to be creative as far as routines are concerned and like doing things that inspire whatever? Like, do you think it's necessary for people to do that as routines and things like that?
I think we all should try to explore some kind of art just because it expands what you are. And I think everybody should.
What does
It
that mean?
should
For
be.
let's say for somebody who's like, I'm not a creative.
Yeah, I don't
What does
do
that
art.
mean?
I don't do art. What does that mean? Yeah.
How would you
Well,
expand
just
yourself?
to try it, to try. Everybody listens to music, so you might not be creative, but you connect with art. And if you connect with art, there is an artist inside of you, but you're just hiding and comfortable. I feel like that. I feel when I listen to you or I listen to this person, I know there is something interesting in you. That's why, like, people just inspire me in general because I know there is something good that you could help yourself express. I don't know if that came out good, but yeah, like if you are talking to, I don't know, a politician that you have zero creativity, they actually do have a lot of
they're pretty
creativity.
Yeah,
But
very
no, any other kind of job that you would think they don't have creativity, you talk to them and they listen to music, they watch TV, so they connect with art. And when you connect with art, something will be rare for me if you don't connect with any kind or any type of art. That will be something rare.
Yeah.
I've never seen or heard of someone that doesn't connect with a kind of art.
So you think that anybody who connects with some type of art could be considered a creative because of that connection?
No, consider a creative, but you should try because my
Analogy is
point
that
was that you should try to
if
do
you
it.
like music, that technically anybody, and most people love music for the most part. Then if they can connect to music, technically you can connect to.
You
any
could try
art.
it
You could try it. Yeah.
because there is something that makes you like it.
That's a good. That's a good argument. Like you
That is
can't
a good
fight with
argument.
that.
Yeah.
You can.
I like that. Yeah.
Simple, straightforward.
I think anybody can be creative. I mean, that's why I had that definition of
Yeah.
problem solving plus novelty. Like that for me is it's a skill more than anything. Now, the way you express that skill varies greatly. I mean, you said you can sing. If that's part of your job, I'm out. I'm not singing. But
You can sing.
no. But building off that, I mean, like theologically, I believe that God put a spark. I mean, God is an artist. Look at a sunrise and tell me he's not.
Right.
And he put that spark inside of each of us.
Yep.
And we are made in his image. That's what it means. We can go and create things as a way both to glorify him, that's why we're here, but then also as a means of sharing what it means to be human. I mean, again, with stories, the reason I love characters so much is it's like, wow, this person went through all this hardship and yet is able to maintain their values, or they fell because it was too much. It's like people can connect with that.
Yeah.
Jesus told parables for that same reason. It's like being able to understand each other through art, through stories, through music. I mean, music has a way to transcend language barriers.
Yep.
One time I was in the Dominican Republic with a missions trip, and we started singing Power in the Blood. They were singing it in Spanish, but I was able to resonate with that, and it was so powerful. Even though, like, again, I don't want to sing. But with that being said, it's just that ability to express joy for our Creator and then to use the gifts he's given us. Because he's given us all some manner of creativity, even if it's just in your day-to-day job. But as far as making it a career, I think that's the difference between a creative by your guys'
Right.
definition
Yeah.
versus just being creative.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good distinction there.
Yes.
You needing to know
Yep.
if you're a creative or if you're just have creativity. Yeah, I like that.
But I think the way to find out is by creating, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, try it out.
Mistakes.
Because if you don't try it out, you will
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah, and even if you're terrible at it, it's like at least you tried.
Yeah.
And maybe you try a couple more times, and you're like, it was just the growing pains, and now I'm actually really good, and I love this stuff.
Mhm.
And what's interesting about what you said about the stories is, as you said it, like superhero movies, love stories, same plot, different people, and yet people connect so deeply behind it that they would watch even though the storylines are pretty similar. Only the nuances are changed here and there, but people will still watch it religiously.
Mm-hmm.
So that's super interesting that like creatives are doing that, where you're connecting people to each other.
Well, like you said, the parables,
Mm-hmm.
like a great way to connect. And Sheran, you were telling me the other day, it's like people inherently love stories because they are living a story in their life.
Mhm.
And when they go through hardship and come out the other side, it's this beautiful thing that they've personally experienced. And then if they see that elsewhere, it's like,
Yeah.
wow. And it's just a
Yeah.
really,
Yeah,
And
because the
connection.
story in itself is the one that inspires, anyways.
Yes. And you're the main character of your own story.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
What's something you once believed about creativity that you no longer think is true?
Something that I used to believe,
Mm-hmm.
and now I don't think it's
No.
Or maybe even just like a way that you thought or a thought process about creativity that's like, that's just not me, or I'm going to move on. I found a new way to do something. No,
I've got two. One, it has to be perfect in order to be out there. That would be the number.
Amen, brother.
It has to be perfect on the first try. That's the
Wow,
other one.
that's
It's
beautiful.
like
Vitamin over
Yep.
here.
the perfection is, yeah, because it's not going to be. Except for God, everything has mistakes, and they're gonna be there. Like no matter how hard you work, you will, as a creator, will see the flaws in it, no matter what. An editor would help. But then the second one, I would say, I lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me. You go.
You said
Which one's
perfection was one of them, right?
Yeah,
And
I'm
you
trying to
had-
remember what the other one was.
Okay.
Because I had it like right there.
That's okay.
I just think the same perfection. That's one thing that we're so scared of, like not being what people. I used to think that people need to like me or need to like my performance in order for me to make it or to get a job.
Mm.
And instead of feeling comfortable of who I am with my struggles and everything. So I used to believe, I used to believe that you need to try to be perfect. That's why when you say, I was like, yeah, that's what I want to say. Because you're trying so hard. Don't try too hard. I mean, try with all your energy and let the sparkle take you somewhere, and then work on that. Just get it going. Don't wait for the creativity to come to you. Just do something, and then
Yeah.
you're creating.
Building
I
off
feel
that, though, I remember the other thing. It's okay to have off days. And in the sense, I mean, when I wrote the first draft of Variants, I was a machine. I was a sophomore in college. I had a lot of free time. I wrote 1,700 words a day.
Wow.
And my poor roommate said it sounded like a machine gun going off.
Yeah.
Because again, I had headphones on. I couldn't hear. But trying to write this most recent draft, it's like there are days I can barely get 50. And it would be so
wow.
frustrating for me
Frustrating.
because I'm like, I used to be really strong. It's like same in the weight room. I used to be able to lift almost double my body weight. Now it's like I can barely get 3/4 of that. And it's one of those, it's okay to kind of back the perfectionist. Like the outcome doesn't have to be perfect. Your effort doesn't have to be perfect. I think the consistency is the key. As long as you just show up every day. It's not going to hit every day, but if you're in the right spot, the muse, so to speak, will know where to find you.
Yeah.
I love that. Your effort doesn't have to be perfect because it is. Yeah, it's so true. Personally, it's just like, I feel like, if I have an off day, am I losing the spark? Can I not do this anymore? And that can
Yeah.
just eat you alive.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that can go on for so long, and then you
Yeah.
stop doing whatever you're doing. But
Yeah.
that's a very wise thought. I like that a lot.
And for I think all creatives is for you to wait and to get an opportunity from someone else to hire you or to book a role or to get a casting call. I used to think that you have to wait for that. But if you prepare and you're working in your craft and trying to get better and do any kind of study on what you like, that will put you somewhere different. It will move you forward and what you want, what your goals are.
That makes me wonder, do you ever like set up a camera and like act a role out just so you can practice in front of the camera?
Yeah.
Do you? What's that like? Like, do you do that often or?
I do. I
So I've
do
actually
it.
seen her videos of
really?
her like putting it out there.
Oh,
like,
that's cool. You
or her
put some out there?
auditions.
Oh, that's so
yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's part of the practice is
It
whatever
is
you're doing, you
part-
have to do
but
that.
I used to believe, so that's something I used to believe, that you have to wait for the script to come or for someone to tell you, hey, would you do that for me? Would you work for me? But really, you can't depend or rely on someone else because there are some things that you can't control. So to let that power go, you are in control of what you do. And if you really like creating, you have to do something to create whatever that means to you, music or writing, acting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or wood blobs.
This is so funny. You both came with the
Oh,
blobs.
that's what you meant about blobs.
Yeah,
these
these
are
are
the
wood
blobs.
blobs.
When we were setting up, you kept saying blobs, and I was like, I'll figure out what those mean eventually. But
No, these are the blobs.
Nearly an hour in, he's
there we
got
go.
it.
It's funny. I made these blobs as a way to inspire me. That's where the concept came as. I was like, that would be kind of cool to make wood look like a stone, and then put something to like inspire me because I get stuck with creative ruts as well. And in those moments, like, it's weird, but I've shared this in the podcast, but I would like feel it, touch it while I'm like, while I'm in the, and then randomly, because like I dropped it a couple of times yesterday at a photo shoot, but I like touch it. And as I like kind of, I don't know, there've been plenty of times where I would focus on it and immediately inspiration would come. I'm like, it worked.
Yeah,
The blob worked.
that's a great way to do it. Speaking of creative block, I know we kind of touched on it before, but we've dove into that on a couple of our episodes, just me and him. And I want to know, like, when it comes to creative block, I hate that feeling, by the way. It's just like, why can't I?
Yeah.
What practices do you use, or what have you found useful in your creative endeavors that really seem to be, okay, I know if I get this, if I do X, Y, Z, then this is going to happen, or if whatever. What would that be like for you guys?
For me, I had a creative block when I tell you guys or a breaking point when I had Sunny, my baby, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to be something else than a mother. And networking, listening to other actresses that have kids, taking classes, connecting with people that are going through the same. That's why doing this, I feel like it makes us happier. What we're doing right now, it makes me really happy because we're connecting and we all are going to live with something that we didn't have before.
Yeah.
And when you have, when you're you can't think of how to get through this, connecting with people will help me.
So if you can't find a character, I think you did a pretty good job describing how you do it. It seems like it kind of comes natural to you as you empathize with the character. If you can't find a way to do that, what would you do? Connect with other people? Do the same thing you were just saying? Or
Yeah.
okay.
Definitely trying to connect with people that are going through the same that the character is going. So, for example, the other day I was auditioning for a girl that smokes, and I don't want to smoke. So I was like, I don't know. I don't want to look, stupid. I don't want to look stupid. I never done that, but I want to do it because I love this about being creative and about being an actress, that I could put myself in her feet and doing it naturally. So I was like, how can I do it? I was struggling. I was having almost a block because I took a cigarette and I was like, I look so dumb. How can I do it? So I went to one of my friends, and it's all about connecting now for me. And she smokes a lot. And I was like, please, I need you right now.
Once.
Please, I need you. I need to talk to you. Can you just smoke and talk to me about your life, about your daughters, about anything? And I was like, okay, this is so interesting. And just to see her doing it and the way she like flows with her hands, it's so natural that you kind of have a better idea and you're not just pretending that you had a real person that you can kind of learn from.
Yeah.
And at the same time you're connecting. So
Sure.
yeah,
That's
I
really
definitely reach out to people if I feel like they can help me with the creative process of a character.
I feel like people don't reach out to other people enough when they.
I agree.
Whatever struggle they're going
I
through
struggle with
creatively
that.
in
Sometimes I'm so scared of asking for help,
Mhm.
but living in this country made me get out of my shell, and I had to do it because there is no other way to connect. When I was in Colombia, I had a manager. My career was kind of taking off there. And when I moved here, it was like zero, nothing. You just know your husband and that's it.
Right.
And I felt alone a lot of times. That's why acting, it's always been there for me. It's like my bestie.
That's super cool because when you ask somebody about smoking, it's like my mind goes to like, first of all, what goes through their mind, what urges. I used to be a smoker a long time ago, and I remember I remember why I used
Same
to
for
did
a
it.
couple years.
I started because I was working as a cook in a kitchen.
Oh,
And
wow.
everybody else smokes,
And
right?
everybody else
And we
smokes,
don't
yeah.
get breaks, so you had to smoke a cigarette to get a break. And every hour you get a break. I'm like, why am I not smoking? So I started smoking. I don't joke.
Yeah.
And because it was like a industry thing, and while I was a chef, I smoked for like 4 or 5 years, and that was my way to get a break. But then I'm thinking about this thing is like I can now understand how a smoker smokes. I understand what triggers them to smoke.
Yep.
All these
Yep.
things. So this concept of empathy, after all, if you listen to a smoker, right? If you really listen to a smoker, you almost want to come to a point. You're like, actually, dude, it's okay. Keep smoking. It's helping you. No joke. If you really think about it, if you have no other way to deal with the situations and life, continue to smoke. You might die young, but at least you learn how to.
But like you were saying too, it kind of just flows naturally because
It
they've been
flows
doing it
so-
so long. It's part of
Yeah,
their.
because at the beginning when I grabbed it, I was like, I look
What do
so
I do?
stiff.
Yeah.
I do it like this. So it's so fun when you're in that creative process, especially. And I love this about acting when you have to do actions that you're not used to doing. And it's a coincidence, but because my friend, we work in the industry, and the character was a server.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
Yeah.
my friend,
Gotta
she
smoke.
can help me because she takes breaks every hour.
Right.
There it is.
Yep. Dealing with customers and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So final question.
Wait, Mason didn't get to.
Oh, I apologize.
he
I'll
had
try to
his
speed run
second.
this.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ben.
My bad.
Sorry.
Writer's block. Okay, so couple different ways it manifests. One is the blank page syndrome. For that one, I literally say, okay, what is the goal right now? The goal is to write a chapter, 50 words about John running through the woods or something.
And you're typing that out.
just typing it out.
Okay.
And then from there, it's like, okay, let's just start from there. Doesn't matter how bad it is. Just go with it. We can always fix it in post. That's a great motto to have. And then the second type of writer's block is, okay, I've been writing this chapter, but I don't know where it's going to go. I just can't connect the dots between B and D. C is just not working. So I've learned either most of the time, just cut it, which is painful. It's really tough to just decide, okay, these 3,000 words are not going to be there anymore.
Ouch.
But I've also learned it's way easier to cut 3,000 words than 100,000 words or 50,000 words after the fact when you have to start over from scratch.
That's a good point.
So learning it's okay. We'll fix it later. And then the last part, you said this at the beginning when you said we were talking about script writing. You want to go back and keep fixing it.
Yeah.
I've learned don't go back and fix things until you're done.
Wow.
And then once go all the way through
That's
the
some
end.
discipline.
Ah.
But what I do is I put a little I do it all in Word. I just make a little comment and I call it an ice bucket from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. We got to put an ice bucket there, dude. And I just put an ice bucket. Here's the change I'm making. So from now on, this character is actually a woman. And I just go back, and then I'll go back to the first third where she was a man and fix it real quick. Because then but the rest of the story is all her now as a woman. Because it was like this plot line doesn't feel right for a dude, but make her into her own thing. Oh, it fits so much smoother. So use ice buckets.
Interesting.
I also I would like to add taking a break helps.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a break and just enjoying life. Go and grab a coffee with a friend. Just don't think about it. If you try to don't think about that, maybe when you like it will be a better way to sit and start writing again or start reading the lines again. Just take a break and
it's real. Fresh eyes, fresh ears.
Yes,
like whatever break you take, you get back to you're like, oh,
Yeah.
It's crazy how that works.
For me, it's like understanding how my brain works and allowing that brain to do the job without me condemning the break. So
Yes.
I have ADHD. So when I try to write something, I have a bullet journal. Literally, like I start writing like 4 sentences, a new idea comes. So I like go to another page and write that down, and like something comes and I come back to it and I start writing again, and another idea comes and I'm in another page. I didn't accept this process for a long time. Now that I know I have ADHD, this is my process, and all of a sudden, all of those ideas vanishes and nothing happens, and I'm so annoyed with it. I have to get up and go, and that's why having dogs is like watching dogs at home has been the best blessing, because
Aw.
every time I need a break, I just go to the yard with the dogs and play outside and like do
Yeah.
something. I come back sweating or whatever, and then all of a sudden I sit down and everything just flushes through. So like allowing that this is how my brain works. It's just not how other people's brain works. A lot of people are more privileged than that. Like you can write 700 words. I could write maybe 10, 15 and
Yep.
then we're done.
Hey, be happy with 10 then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But the question I want to ask you is, our audience are all creatives who want to be inspired by creatives. So I'm going to leave the audience to you to say something to a fellow creative. Whatever you want to do. Don't cuss them out.
Well,
Okay. Well, yeah. I've been good. I didn't say a single bad word. I didn't say
the rest of the show is just
That was good.
yeah, whether it's inspiration or something to do. You want to go first?
Me? Okay. I would say trust the process. Enjoy it. Trust the process, enjoy it. Love what you're doing. Love every step that you take because it's moving you forward for like what you want, what you dream. Keep dreaming, dream big, bigger and bigger, bigger every time, and take action on it for sure.
There you go.
Very cool. Mason?
Yeah, kind of building off that. I love the idea of dream big and show up to work. Like if you are a creative, that's how you're defining yourself, and you want to make it real. You have that ability, but you got to show up and be willing to work.
That's great.
Would you have anything to say, Ben, before I end it up?
I really appreciate both of your perspectives on this. This has been wonderful. Very amazing conversation. I love how it's not only just the creative aspects of your different styles, but also how you kind of use like there's an aspect of mental health. I'm fascinated with mental health, and it seems like it's
Me too.
It's almost a necessary thing to have, and I just love the little tidbits that you guys have shared. I mean, it's inspiring me as it is. So thank you so much for both of your
Thank
time.
you.
This is so
Thank you for
awesome.
this opportunity. This is really fun.
Seriously, we're all about creating, and we're all about having people who are creating and inspiring each other. So until the next episode, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep exploring your own Creative Odyssey. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
See you.